I actually remember the exact moment, stuff kind of started to get real.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
The number starts to go up, tighten the valve. If the number doesn't slow down, close the valve.
We are announcing and introducing a regional stay-at-home order in the state of California.
And that's why I'm acting today to issue a stay-at-home order.
This is certainly not a moment for panic or high anxiety. It is a moment for vigilance.
I remember I was going to pick up some dinner with one of my friends, and my mentor teacher texted me, and he let me know before an announcement was made that our school district was going to be shutting down a week before spring break, which ironically was it would be this week technically, a year ago. And we were going to have 2 weeks off and then see what was happening and go back to school after that. But then obviously we never went back to school. Hey, good morning guys. Can you all hear me all right? One more thing that I ask is that guys that are in person, if you would let other students know that come in later or aren't sure what to do to hop onto the WebEx meeting, just so that they can get all the same information that you guys are getting right now. Whenever I was searching for jobs during the pandemic, it was kind of rough, honestly, because I was trying to finish my school semester, and I was applying for jobs, and it was something I had never really I had applied for jobs before, but never a professional job. And we were supposed to have a job fair, I remember, and that got canceled too. So that was a place where I know a lot of student teachers at least got experience doing some short interviews and answering some questions, and then got exposure to schools in our area. But after the pandemic hit, everything got shut down, so all of our interviews were over Zoom or over WebEx and things like that. And I think that school districts HR and hiring process got really disrupted too, because they also didn't know what they were doing, and how not being able to meet in person at all was going to affect things.
So what I'd like you to do is just turn to your shoulder partner, and if you don't have one, use your face partners. Tell them what you guys think it means to rank things, and then we'll see if you agree.
During the Great Depression, because we know a lot of people were out of jobs, living in poverty, so these programs were designed to help those people. Some of them gave people jobs, and it was trying to lower that unemployment rate and help America. I would say the biggest problems that would arise are always technology things. It's I can plan a perfect lesson, but every now and again I would lose 10 minutes or 15 minutes because our Wi-Fi would go out at the school, and then no one can do anything because our students all use laptops, even if they are in person, and things like that. My audio would cut out, so a lot of it was checking to make sure my students were still with me. They were still able to hear and see me, and they knew what was going on. It's a lot easier when you're in person to check and make sure a student knows what's going on. If they have questions, they can just call you over, or you can look over their work while they're working, and doing that. But whenever you're online, or whenever your students are online, it's definitely a lot harder to do that. I would always try to make sure I had frequent checks for understanding with them, either reaching out through our chat options, because some students were more comfortable with that, or just talking to them screen to screen instead of face to face. But definitely different challenges with that. And if you guys have questions or anything while we're going over this, you guys can always unmute yourself or put your question in the chat. And I'll frequently look at the chat too. So my days throughout this year, my typical teaching days, has dramatically changed, I feel as time has gone on, because restrictions get lifted and then things happen and you have to go back online, or you can go back in person. When we started, we were completely remote, and we had kids come in on our schedule 2 times a week for like a certain amount of time. We were on a block schedule, and they would come in completely remotely. Like we use WebEx, and then we changed to a hybrid model to where I had half of my students in person and then half of them online any given day, and they would switch. So that was something new that I definitely had to adjust to, because before I just had kids like in one place, they were all online. But for our hybrid model, I had to adjust to teaching students in person and online as well at the exact same time, which definitely took like some time to learn, but I think I got it down. And like this is also kind of a good thing, but over spring break, I hope that all of you guys get to like spend time doing something you enjoy, whether that's like hanging out with your friends, playing video games, being outside, like I hope it's warm, anything like that, like anything you enjoy doing. I hope you guys get to spend some time doing that, like have some time for yourself too. Thank you guys for sharing your good things. For any first year teacher, there's a lot of adjustments you have to make normally, and it's always like a learning process and something you have to take, I feel like, one step at a time and just take what's given. But then you throw like a pandemic into that, there's like even more unknowns. I work with a lot of teachers in my department that have been teaching for a long time, and even they were like struggling with like, we don't really know what's going on. We have to learn new things and try and learn and do what's best for our students. So you add like those two things together, and there's a lot of learning being done.
That's how they're showing that they mastered it. If someone comes in and talks about attributes or shapes, they can have a conversation about it. They can use the academic language. So the language objective supports the
Okay, so as more people are starting to come into the meeting, I'm just gonna like explain a few things. So the reason that I am like teaching remotely right now, is because I have to quarantine. I got exposed to COVID last week. That's why I wasn't in school at all. I was getting tested and all that, and I tested negative, but since I was exposed, I still have to quarantine, but I'm still able to like teach remotely like this. So this is how our Friday class will be as well. But I just wanted to explain that for those of you that are in person right now. I know this is a little weird and different. So I think that before I knew anyone that had COVID, the pandemic like seemed at a distance. Like I knew that it was happening and it was going on, and like the things like around me, like I believed that they were happening, but I didn't have any like firsthand experience with it. But when I actually like got COVID and people around me got COVID as well, I think it like kind of opened my mind to seeing that like this is something that like is actually happening, and it just made it like feel more real for me, because before that like I didn't really see the like effects personally. I think that the pandemic has definitely impacted my mental health. I think that I had to learn to like adjust, because whenever you're going to work or you're going to school, you have like a set schedule and you're like going somewhere and you actually have to go somewhere to do the work. Whenever we first started like working from home and stuff like that, I think you have to take a lot of personal accountability, which can be hard whenever your mental health is being negatively affected by like other things going on. Something that has definitely helped me is actually like returning in person to learning, because it helps me have like a set schedule. It gives me somewhere where I can go to work, and it helps me separate like my work life, home life balance, because whenever I was working from home, I never got like that break. The space that I worked in was like the space that I relaxed in. And so I definitely think that's something that's helped me and like my mental health get better. But I think just remembering also to take time for yourself, and not like drown yourself with the things you can't control, but to just focus on the things you can control right now as well. Remembering that, it helps too.
Hello. 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 Hey. Hey. Hello. Everybody say cheese for the camera.
I think that in a year so much can change. I don't necessarily think we're gonna go like completely back to the way things were. I hope some of like the more positive aspects of what our life was like before the pandemic hit come back. I definitely miss like large social gatherings, going to like concerts, things like that. So I hope those types of things come back. But I also hope that we take some things that like we've learned and apply them and like create a new normal, because I feel like, at least us in America, like I don't think that we were like clean enough, honestly. Like looking at all the safety measures people have been putting in, like different like companies and stores now, it made me realize I don't think that we like clean things as much as we definitely needed to. And maybe we don't need to always be as close to each other as we were like physically in stores and stuff like that. I feel like maybe a new balance of like personal space is a good thing as well. So I think in a year, like so much can change. I don't think we'll be the same as we are now. I know the vaccine is rolling out. I get to take the vaccine here soon, which I'm grateful for. But hopefully with that, we can like get some sense of like togetherness again, and we can start safely like opening things up again. I think that my experiences from this year, they've taught me that I'm more resilient than I thought I was, because I feel like everything since this pandemic has started, like it's just been kind of like a big boulder like rolling and like getting bigger, or I guess maybe like a snowball. You can picture like the thing, like it's rolling and it's getting bigger, it's accumulating more snow, but like you're still out in front of it and like you're getting by. There's just been so many challenges and so many things that have happened, so many new things that like I've had to learn, like within my job, within like myself too. It's taught me that I can like handle more than I thought I could. I've been under a lot of stress this year, like personally, just from like work and the pandemic itself and like the things that it's caused. But like I've still been able to like perform like my job. I've been able to like keep myself, I feel like, relatively mentally healthy, and like get through it, even though whenever like this first started, there's so much fear and so much anxiety surrounding it. I feel like I've finally been able to find some sense of like normalcy in all this. I think that my attitude towards this year has mainly been like I'm just a teacher. I'm not making like the big decisions, but the decisions get like put onto me. So I've just been trying to like roll with the punches, and I always tell my kids like we just gotta roll with the punches. Like things are gonna be changing, and like we saw things were changing constantly. But like the best thing we can do is just go with it and try to like do our best while we're doing it. But I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I know this year's been crazy, and this is just another crazy thing that's happening. We'll all be all right. So just know that like today